Hello, hello, my friends. Another dedicated candle review for you today. We're going to be talking about Kringle Candle Reserve Pumpkin Oud. Full disclosure, you guys, this candle was sent to me in PR by the brand. Always like to be upfront and transparent about that. However, if you've been with my channel any length of time, you guys know I always strive to give it to you straight in terms of what my nose is detecting, how I feel about the fragrance, and what my thoughts are in terms of the candle's performance. So, this week, you guys may notice that my reviews are going to be very Kringle heavy because we have two collections launching this Thursday, September 18th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is one of the 6 fragrances that will be offered as part of the Fall Reserve collection. Retail price on these will be $34. This is one of their standard 2-wick large tumblers, 100% soy wax. So let's go ahead and talk about Pumpkin Oud, because if you caught my cold sniff impressions video, then you guys know that this fragrance came in at the #1 spot, and I'll let you guys know if it has maintained that position after burn. So, fragrance notes on Pumpkin Oud are top notes of spice and amber, mid notes of ginger and cinnamon, base notes of cedar and pumpkin. This particular candle that I am reviewing has a pour date of May 29th, 2025. Okay, this fragrance, first and foremost, I want to say that if the oud name or the fear of this smelling like oud, which tends to be kind of like, to my nose, oud can be like a resinous, almost damp, woody type of note. I'm happy to report that I don't smell that in here, nor is the oud note listed in the fragrance notes. What my nose detects here, you guys, is a very elevated pumpkin spice fragrance. Now, Kringle has been doing a really good job, in my opinion, with pumpkin spice fragrances this fall. First, we had the Part 1 Halloween launch. They had Pumpkinhead, which was what I referenced as saying it was like if Yankee Candle's Spiced Pumpkin had a baby with Hallmark's Autumn Pumpkin. That's what you would have gotten. That had definitely some pumpkin spice, but there was definitely a bright citrus orange note combined in that candle. Then in the Part 2 collection, which was Boo Crew, we had we had Lil Devil, which was what I would say more in line with your traditional like comparison to just Yankee Candle Spiced Pumpkin. I love the fragrance, but was it anything completely earth-shattering or new to the market? No, not really. It had definitely like some clove heavy mixed with the pumpkin, but unlike Pumpkinhead, there was not that orange note. This fragrance is like, I feel like this is like kind of like perfecting or completing the trifecta of pumpkin spice fragrances for Kringle this fall, because this one to me is definitely it's a pumpkin fragrance, but instead of there being clove coming through center stage compared to Little Devil, this one is more, there's a cinnamon note in here, but I will say that the cinnamon note in here is not coming across as red hot cinnamon to my nose. This is more of a soft, dare I even say, if it can be, this almost sounds like an oxymoron. It's almost like a delicate cinnamon note mixed with the pumpkin. There is a slight effervescence, I would say, with that ginger note being in the middle. But I would say that if you are somebody who is really averse to ginger notes, don't let that scare you off with this fragrance, because this doesn't come across to my nose as like gingerbread and pumpkin. The ginger is in there. Again, it kind of lends a little bit more, I would say it lends a little bit more spice to this fragrance, but it's nice that this is a fragrance that the spice note is not being solely carried or dominated by the cinnamon note to my nose. The cinnamon still remains, it keeps its softness with this candle as it is burning. And then the base note there of cedar and pumpkin coming out is really nice. The cedar note lends almost a slight element of sophisticated woodiness to this fragrance. I feel like if you like fragrances like, what's the Bath and Body Works one? I think it was called like farmhouse pumpkin, and it was basically like there's like a pumpkin and patchouli note. And I'm happy to say, you guys, there's no patchouli note in here. You guys know when you mix patchouli with cedar, I don't like that combination of fragrances, and so I don't smell that in here at all. But I'm just going to say that if you like that type of fragrance, if you like the farmhouse pumpkin, and I want to say it's like farmhouse pumpkin or pumpkin and patchouli, something like that from Bath and Body Works. Another fragrance comparison I will give is to a candle that I reviewed last week from the Homeworks Big Deal Trio. If you liked their mahogany pumpkin, while this is a different fragrance, I feel like it's in that same family of sophisticated pumpkin spice fragrances. There's just something about this one that I think that first and foremost, Kringle designating this to be part of their reserve line, which is the reserve line tends to be a little bit more elevated, a little bit more conceptual. I feel like this one is appropriate for the reserve line. This is what I would just say is a very elevated take on a traditional pumpkin spice fragrance. There's just something about it that seems a little bit more sophisticated. Again, that cinnamon note to me is present, but it doesn't dominate. It doesn't irritate my nostrils. It still remains a little bit delicate. I would say that's the best word that I can use. And again, all of the notes just come together very, very nicely. Very, very nice spiced pumpkin fragrance. I will tell you guys that this is still my favorite fragrance from the Reserve line. Very much enjoying it. So let's go ahead and talk about the performance of this one, because I do have some notes that I want to share with you guys about the performance on this candle. So I will go ahead and lift this up really quickly. You can see the flames, from the top here, not so bad. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around here. My little stand here can sometimes be a little off, but we're going to turn it around. Okay. So you can see the flames on this candle are not burning. The wicks, flames, whatever we want to call them here, they're not burning as aggressively as they are on, say, the ambered apple and walnut. That one's, the wicks on that are a little bit more aggressive, as well as on two of the Christmas fragrances that I've been burning to try to get reviews on for you guys. The wicks on these ones, where I'm going with that is that because I have noticed that the flame is not as intense on this. You can see I've had this candle lit for about an hour, and while I do have a wax pool going, here's what I'm noticing with this one. The first burn of this candle was very strong for me. I would give it about an 8 in terms of strength and throw on the first burn. Pretty strong. Second burn, still pretty decently strong. I would still say it was in that like 7.5, 8. But after the third burn, I really noticed that those flames were not as intense. And I have been noticing that that has affected the strength and throw of this candle for me right now. At the moment, you guys, this fragrance is like, I would give it maybe like a 6 in terms of strength and throw. If I put it in a closed concept bedroom, I can smell it a lot better. It definitely permeates in there. Like I was burning it in my daughter's bedroom the other day, like yesterday actually, and it definitely filled up that little, that room, and very noticeable in there, but it wasn't projecting outside of the room. But today I've been burning it out in the open concept living room. And like I said, the first day that I burned it out there the very first time, and it definitely filled the space. It was throwing into my kitchen. But today it's struggling a little bit to really throw. So what I might do is after this review, I might go ahead and dump some of that wax out and then relight it and see maybe if having a longer wick kind of reignites those flames to burn a little bit hotter. Because I do think that the slowdown of the burn is affecting the strength and throw for me right now. Like I said, that first burn was it wasn't hot where it was like concerning and like it was flame throwing or anything like that, but I do feel like it was burning a little bit hotter on those first two burns, and therefore I got greater strength and throw, whereas right now it's not really doing that. But I'll keep you guys posted. In fact, I will make a note down in the description box, unless I forget. I might be able to put it across the screen here, but I might forget to do that when I'm editing. So I will make sure to put a notation in the description box if my little experiment of pouring out some wax, if that kind of helps with the wick situation. But they're not drowning wicks. They're not puny wicks by any stretch of the imagination. I just find that think that it needs to burn a little bit hotter in order for me to get back to the strength and throw that I was initially experiencing. I wanted to say that this fragrance actually pairs really nicely with a lot of other candles that I currently have in my collection. Right now, I am actually burning this one with Boo Hoo from the Boo Crew collection. And then in the other room, I'm burning it with the cinnamon apple wreath from the Christmas collection. I'll touch on that one in just a moment here. But anyways, you guys, this candle does get 2 thumbs up from me. I actually, right now, I'm going to say 1 3/4 because I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get a little bit extra strength and throw. But if you're planning to burn this in a closed concept home, you're going to be pretty happy, I think, with the performance on it. I don't know what's going on. I might have trimmed the wick a little bit too aggressively. I don't know. So hoping that I can go ahead and adjust that, but wanted to let you guys know what I've been experiencing with the burn. But overall, you guys, the fragrance, I'm just going to say that I think that, I won't say that I feel like this one is equally tied with Lil Devil in terms of what I'm appreciating. It does burn really nicely with Lil Devil too. I did have that pairing going on. So again, if you're somebody who likes pumpkin spice, you want a little bit more sophisticated pumpkin spice, then I would definitely recommend getting your hands on this one. I do suspect that the ambered apple and walnut and possibly this one might be possible sellout risks when the reserves launch. I don't think they're going to go as quickly as like the Boo Crew collection went, but these two might sell out quickly just because overall I'm seeing a lot of ambassadors give pretty favorable reviews to both of those. And so that might stir up, some feelings among the people. But anyways, I do have an affiliate discount code with Kringle. It is Katie15. It will save you 15% on your purchase with them. Feel free to use that if you would like. Just be aware that it is eligible for a commission, so only do so if you are comfortable. So please hit thumbs up if you found this review helpful. Let me know in the comment section down below if this one is on your wish list for the launch later on this week. I did mention in my ambered apple and walnut review the candles that I do plan to have reviewed prior to the launch this Thursday. I did want to let you guys know that it does look like I'm actually probably going to have 2 post-burn reviews up for you guys from the Christmas collection. My plan at the moment is to probably upload those on Wednesday, but I'm hoping to have reviews of Kringle Cupcake and Cinnamon Apple Wreath up for you guys prior to the launch in case you want some thoughts on those. So anyways, you guys, I do want to say thank you so very, very much for spending your time here with me today. And until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.